With that background, I'm going to jump to Dealey Plaza. I was on the White House press bus. We were on Houston. I was looking across the plaza when we heard the shots. I remember 3 shots. And I've always had a memory, matter of fact, I've had nightmares about it, of the sunlight on Kennedy and the explosion, the car almost coming to a stop, almost to a dead stop, and then accelerating at tremendous speed. So I knew, his instinct, I knew that he had been shot, at least shot at.
But what I couldn't really believe, as someone else mentioned, was the car had, after that first shot, had come practically to a stop. And later on, in looking back on, I said I could not believe how well-trained Secret Service people reacted so slowly. I would have expected that from ordinary human beings, but I expected that they would have reacted much quicker, because I've always felt in my mind that I knew the first shot missed. I had never wavered on that, and I see now that it's getting a lot of support. But I said that from day one, that the first shot missed. I've never changed my mind on that. I felt the second shot was not a mortal blow, so I felt that had there been proper reaction time, that the man might still be alive today. I said that the shots appeared to have come from behind me and to my right, and I did say seemed to. I didn't say they did come from that direction. And secondly, I had spoken to my friends just prior to the event, suggesting that the grassy knoll would be the perfect spot for an assassin. So I said it was somewhat like self-fulfilling prophecy, that when it happened, I naturally expected to have come from where I had predicted it would come from.
The president's friend, Dave Powers, now director of the Kennedy Library in Boston, remembers talking to a grief-stricken Bill Greer, the Secret Service agent who drove Kennedy's car. What if they'd sped out of Dealey Plaza after the first shots, but before the fatal one?
I thought it always, and so did he, but Bill, all those agents were very close to us, and that they felt so bad.
If the driver of the president's car had stepped on the gas after the first 2 shots,
yes, that president would be alive today.
The president's friend, Dave Powers, now director of the Kennedy Library in Boston, remembers talking to a grief-stricken Bill Greer, the Secret Service agent who drove Kennedy's car. What if they'd sped out of Dealey Plaza after the first shots, but before the fatal one?
I thought it always, and so did he, Bill, all those agents were very close to us, and that they felt so bad.
If the driver of the president's car had stepped on the gas after the first 2 shots,
yes, that president would be alive today, and he'd be 71 years old, and he'd be the director here, and and I'd be the assistant.
Last Monday marked the 30th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Next, we take you to the campus of Southern Methodist University for a conference on what journalists remember of that fateful day. Panels include journalists who were in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963, as they discuss efforts by radio, television, and newspapers to stay on top of the story.
Before this thing developed, the Kennedy arrival, we assigned responsibilities to certain photographers. I personally had the president as my responsibility while he was in Dallas. We had, of course, other people at certain locations. I was to get the arrival at Love Field and the parade and the luncheon. Those were my responsibility. And it is important that the president's pictures were my responsibility. So at Love, everything went fine, up to the point that the whole day became great frustration for a photographic person. First thing, parades were usually handled with a flatbed truck for pool and certain selected photographic personnel to ride in front of the presidential car on presidential parades. That was canceled at the last minute. We were put in Chevrolet convertibles to ride several cars back. I think We were about 6 cars, Bob Jackson and I, and a couple other boys were in this parade. And that put us totally out of the picture.
People had scattered.
I think you were one of the people who was somewhat annoyed in the position that the press car was put in so far in the back.
Oh, quite. I was disappointed because it was customary. It had been customary in the past to put a flatbed truck in front of the president for a more or less pooled and selected newsmen. And Bob and I had been selected among other people. Right. But at the last minute, they decided not to have that truck in case they wanted to get out fast. Figured it might be in the way.
Right. Do you remember who selected? Who did the
No,
selection?
I surely don't. I imagine it was one of the Secret Service people.
Right.
And what he was doing was, when he came back off the car, he was saying, "Okay, you guys, I'm going to lunch. Have a good trip." And what he was doing was, when he came back off the car, he was saying, "Okay, you guys, I'm going to lunch. Have a good trip."
The presidential car moving out. The president and first lady. Big, beautiful Lincoln, followed by a carload of press.
Tonight we dip back into our archives as we remember. Tonight we dip back into our archives as we remember.
You hear all the stories about how many shots there were. I mean, there were 3, and they were exactly like that. Third one closer to the second one than the second one was to the first one. Bang, bang, bang. And they bang, bang, bang. And they bang, bang, bang. And they bang, bang, bang.